All right. So what we have is, as far as the town, as far as the town is concerned, at 3.396 square miles, that's where our revenues come from. It does not come from 70647, the entire area. According to this particular information, and it's, like I say, we'll put this up on our website. We'll put it out. It's available. Anything that I have up here today is available. Anything that we do anytime is available. This shows Iowa has a 2025 population of 2,896. Iowa is currently declining at a rate of 3.5% annually, and its population has decreased by 15.32% since the most recent census, which recorded a population of 3,420. For the 70647 area, the estimated population for 2025 is 12,834. It's an increase of 8.43% over the 2020 census population of 11,386. When I talk to some of the other mayors in other municipalities, they're seeing a trend. When I talk to folks at Southwest Louisiana Planning Commission, they see the trend. There's a lot of areas that are losing population. This may be one of the reasons that we're experiencing a decline in sales tax revenue. The amount of money that we have coming in is limited. And so that's the reason that we try to do things according to what we have. What's ironic is that with this particular area, it seems that we have a lot of folks from the 70647 area, not from the town of Iowa, that tend to have a lot of opinions without asking questions. It creates chaos. I've heard, and I know many of you can recall this because it hadn't been too long ago, and the second year in the row, that just feed the children. Just feed the children. When it comes to the federally funded program, those dollars and cents were already there. What they were asking us for is an additional on top of. They're experiencing issues as well with declining dollars. The most interesting thing about that particular program is that we were told on many occasions that we needed to pay for per site, which was not correct. But because we took the time and we sit down with the folks, we understood what was going on. We understood where things were at. I'm not against feeding children. But if you want to keep that narrative up, you're welcome to. The bottom line is this. When it comes to the taxpayer dollar, your taxpayer dollar, I believe every penny should be accounted for. And it should go to help you as an individual in the town. When we start selecting a group to give funds to, I believe we're doing a disservice to our town. I've heard people talk, and by the way, it'll come back around again. Our park, baseball, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, how much money we're going to give whoever's going to play in the park. I'm not against baseball. I'm not against any activity in the park. How much money do we need to allocate as a town to give to other people? How do we know? How does this council know what to designate in our budget? You know, when I ran for office, I ran on fixing some things that were broke. I had expectations. My expectations of what I would find or what could be done was sorely misplaced. There's more to this than what I saw from the outside. I ran because I was tired of seeing things that weren't being done. It's the very reason that I plan on retirements. It's the very reason that I plan on making sure that the people that we have working for us are doing the best they can. There is no perfection, none, not even with me. I am here as a public servant. I am here to do the best that I can with the tools that I have available. There are times when I will try to help and extend into other areas to do that. Because I think the best way that this town can move forward is to do it together. Your expectation of me coming into office is probably not where you think it is now. That's reality. That's life. One of the things that's very troubling is that we have a lot of technology these days. A lot. Phone calls. I tend to make a lot. Try to ask for conversation. Sometimes I get calls in response to that. A lot of times not. So I wanted to kind of move into the ordinances that we have. Y'all are all familiar with them. You know, we have, if my memory serves, we have 3 matters before our court system in regards to ordinance violation, I don't know if that's ever happened before. Has it ever happened, Mr. G, that you can recall?
Specific ordinances that you're talking about, it hasn't happened often.
We've spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, and we put out a lot of letters to property owners. Because we hear from people about ordinances that aren't being followed. The process to get it to the point where it gets in court is not a cakewalk. Do we really like doing it? Absolutely not. The one thing that I think is most troubling by what I've had to experience over the last 2.5 years is to be involved in people's personal business between themselves and neighbors. I have done all that I can do according to the ordinances. We have tried to do this in a very professional way, and we'll continue to do our work in a professional way. Unfortunately, today there was another issue that raised up, had to do with food trailers. About 2.5 months ago, there's a trailer. Most of you have seen it around town. Mainly at Spring Market. Does barbecue. Generally, it's on a Saturday. Sometimes we see it on a Friday. There are regulations that are handed down by the health department. It's not us, health department. And I know for a fact that 2.5 months ago, I think it's 2.5 months ago, individual drove up to that trailer, asked them for the proper documentation. It was given, everything was good. The reason that somebody went there and asked is because somebody complained. And I agree, there are businesses that are brick and mortar that should be complaining if you don't have those proper deals. Everybody else does. I know I talked with a couple of different individuals over the course of the last couple of months. Had them come in, talk about their applications, what they're doing, and mainly to make sure that I was understanding correctly what was going on. They passed with flying colors because they were doing things correctly. But I also talked with them about what we can do to help the businesses in this town. Continuing on with the ordinances, in this very meeting room last month, there was conversation about the 71 units, again, the new development, and about crime. We have a very particular ordinance. It's called nuisance abatement, prohibited activities. And if the contract that development has with their renters is not strong enough, which is that they do not allow for any criminal activity to occur on their property. If they do, they're gone. That's within their rules and regulations, and it's they don't tolerate it. If that's not enough, we have on the books an ordinance, nuisance abatement, prohibited activities. It deals with drug-related criminal activity. It deals with quite a few other items. It's pretty thick. It's section 23201, but it holds the landlord responsible for what goes on that property. People refer to other subdivisions where there's problems. I don't know if this has ever been used to take care of those problems. Noise ordinance. I can still hear Miss Linda speaking about the noise ordinance. I can still hear Mr. Doug Johnston talking about the noise ordinance. Section 2391, noise generally. It's all there. Recently, we had a building code violation. It's happened over the last year and a half, 2 years. We've dealt with this. Gentleman put up a building, didn't do his proper setbacks, metal building in a subdivision. And several of the neighbors were complaining that building got torn down because it was in violation of the ordinances. It took us a while, but we got there. Gentleman came back, built another building. It was stipulated to him it was a class 1. Now he's trying to convert it into a resident. Clear violation of our ordinances. And yet the more we try to do to get people to abide by the ordinances, the more people continue to complain that nothing's being done. I know there's some issues that have gone on in this town prior to me becoming mayor. I know that there are some issues that continue to linger today that have gone on for decades. I think at some point in time, we all have to realize that the only way we're going to get where we need to go is to sit down and have conversations, not accusations. I had a meeting with a gentleman last week that had an issue with his property, many rentals. He was upset. We had a conversation. We talked it through. We got it sorted. That's all it takes. So to wind up on the ordinances, what I'd like to say is this, is that we have two different ways we can go with these ordinances. If we're not expecting people to follow the ordinances, it's an opportunity for the council to rescind the ordinances and to create something that's going to work. According to ordinance enforcement, it is not the responsibility of the administration. And you can find that in the ordinances as well. If you'd like for me to post all these, I can. I'd like to move on to the employee handbook that we have. Last month, we had a couple of what I think is very telling violations of our handbook policy for our employees. I may be wrong in making this assumption, but I would think that most folks are interested in rules and regulations for the town and following the laws that we have. That's what I would think. Maybe I'm the only one that thinks like that. So last month, we had 1.0 introductory statement, page 3 of our employee handbook. This is our employee handbook. Last page. On the back, sign-off sheet. Every employee that works for the town of Iowa, everyone that gets a paycheck signs off that they have read this and that they agree to it and that they abide by it. After what I saw last month, I made sure that every one of our employees in the administration side signed a fresh copy. Because heaven knows, if I'd have misappropriated one penny, or I had one of my employees do what was done last month, I've been run out on the rail. 1.0 introductory statement, page 3. And 10.0 probationary period, page 8. While PD may have department-specific procedures, they generally do not have the authority to override municipal-wide personnel policies. There is an exception with approval. If the governing body wants to allow different probation or classification rules for the police department, it should be done by 1, amending the handbook, or 2, creating a police department specific policy manual with clear authorization. I was very clear last month that what we were about to do was going to be in direct violation of a handbook policy. Number 44, political affiliation. Page 26. Political activity. Partisan political activity by an employee while at work, including publicly or privately advocating or lobbying passage or defeat of any matter before the municipality, is prohibited. Doesn't say it's a suggestion, it's prohibited. Means it's not allowed. I think at some point in time, we all need to be held to a higher standard. I don't know what word best describes my feeling on this, whether it's disappointed. I believe that what we saw last month was unfortunate. I don't blame the council for doing what they did. I wouldn't blame the council if they chose to do some other things. Because the minute a decision is made, there's going to be people who are not going to be happy. And they're going to let us know. I can understand. There are times I feel for this council because of the abuse that people want to put them under. You want to hate somebody, I'm your target. But I will continue to do the job that you had elected me to do. I will make sure that your tax dollars are spent properly. I will make sure that the rules and regulations that we have on the books are done. All of this stuff with the budget could have been avoided. But as I stated, and if you'd like, I'd be more than happy to give folks a copy of this. I have no trouble giving out information. Last month, cover letter for the budget. It was given to the council as well as Mr. Jean, Chief. It was a cover letter for June 9th meeting. Documents included in this packet represent both the requested general fund budget, that's the chief's budget, as well as the proposed general fund budget. The proposed, which is the one that I put in, is operating a capital budget is a balanced budget as required by the Local Government Budget Act. This budget is based not only on historical data, but a decrease in the administration budget and the uncertainty of projected revenues. If the requested general fund budget, that's the chief's budget, moves forward, I will need to know what services or capital outlay projects need to be cut. It's black and white. When I came in, folks were saying, I want this, I want that, I want this. We tried to accommodate. And because we put these things in our budget, because people keep saying, hey, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do there? We put them in. Cover letter for this budget, for this agenda. Same, again, cover letter with everybody. Once again, I'm providing a cover letter regarding the budget. I again have not heard input into services or project that the council wishes to cut in order to accommodate the requested budget for the police department. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't blame them for not getting back with me. Because no matter what happens with this, everybody's going to be fussing at them. Furthermore, I'm including the cover letter from the last agenda that indicates the same language. And because of the fact that we are now operating on half of a budget, as required by law, as only a suggestion passing the balanced budget that was submitted, that's what I put to the council, as well as to the chief and to Mr. Jean. The one that we have submitted, that we've already done the hearing on, we need to pass a budget. It would behoove us to pass the budget that was submitted, the proposed 1.6 for the police department, I think 1.675. So it'll help us to accomplish two things. One thing, it'll get us off of the list with the Louisiana Legislative Auditors for not being in compliance with the Budget Act. And it'll give us time to literally have a conversation about what we're going to cut or where we're going to cut. If the council wishes for me to do some maneuvering and submit it to you and say what you think, I'm okay with that. Because I would rather people blame me for the cuts. I'm okay with that. If we don't do that this evening, our alternate path would be to start the process all over, which would begin another hearing. So we'd have to do another budget, another hearing, come back to another meeting to try to pass the budget. The longer we go, the less Louisiana legislative auditors like that. Because of where we're at with the budget, I also added this in. Additionally, there is a request for 2 new hires for the police department. I do not feel comfortable adding these to the agenda, as the budget hangs in limbo. But as has been the habit of late, amending the agenda is something the council has been comfortable with. And as such, I'm comfortable letting the council make that decision if they so choose. The biggest problem is we don't know where we're going to pull the money from to put it there. So let's talk about the budget. Let's not really the budget itself, but where the funds come from. I'm in this building on a daily basis. I'm at the end of my phone, both of them. I know what's going on in this town because it's my job. I know what's in our handbook policy because it's my job. I take my oath serious to you, the people of the incorporated town of Iowa. I believe that I may just be as, excuse me, but we're not at that point yet.
I'm an ongoing.
We're not at that point yet. Chief. Chief, remove
I'll just sit here quietly.
Mr. Jean, can you see that that's been done?
It's my discretion on fixing the law.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. If the chief isn't, I'm in position.
I have discussions with Mr. Law, she said she be quiet. She was given a verbal warning, and I'm satisfied, I don't think she's gonna be a problem.
At this point, I've never had to do this, but I'll be honest with you. I appreciate it. Please, let's.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
The general consensus, at least what I keep hearing, is that I'm the only mayor that has ever had an issue passing a budget in this town. History speaks volumes. I'm not the first. I may be the only one who is holding people to the letter of the law. At what point does the people of the town of Iowa want to correct our shortfall of revenue? How many people would like to see all our departments thrive and have the money? How many people would like to see us develop a reserve so that we can continue to move forward on projects that are very important to the town of Iowa? If we continue to pillage the coffers, and I'm not talking about just the police department, and I'm not saying they're pillaging the coffers. I'm talking about all the other little things that we keep screaming about. Feed the children, baseball. The cycle doesn't end. This isn't the first time we've gotten here. If we don't change how we communicate with each other, there'll never be the economic development that you want, that you could have, that generates the revenue that makes all this very, very easy. I'm going to make an assumption that most of you don't like taxes. You'd probably find it very, very odd of me to say this at this particular time. But I firmly believe that if we work together, that property taxes in the town of Iowa could go away. But it takes people to have conversations that are meaningful, respectful, there is hope. It just takes people to work together. So at this point, I'm going to do a call to order. We're going to establish a quorum. And I will, before we get to that, I will let you know, folks, if we are going to amend the agenda for any reason, council, it will be by a voice vote. We'll do it individually. So we're going to establish a quorum. Ms. Julie Fontenot.
Here.
Mr. Joe Bagnell.
Here.
Ms. Vanessa.
Here.
Mr. Daniel Hennigan. Here. Mr. Gerald Gitter.
Here.
And at this time, Mr. Joe is going to lead us in invocation. If you don't mind, stand with us, and it's going to be followed by the pledge.
Please bow your head. Lord, we ask for your peace to fill our meeting, helping us to stay focused and productive. May our discussion be characterized by clarity, respect, and a desire to find creative solutions in the best interest of our town. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'm sorry, I forgot Mr. Jean. Before we get to adopting the agenda, Mr. Jean.
Yes, I had wanted to bring up something to the council, and it's something I've been discussing privately, but I've not discussed publicly, but it's been discussed. I did know that Cindy was thinking about retiring. We had discussed it at some time, and actually I've been discussing it with the administration as well, that I had wanted to retire this year, and really I have, that was my goal. It's, I'm 70, gonna be 75 real soon, and I know, and I'm just a little bit tired. But also because, this year I've had some family issues. I don't want to go into too well, but I have my daughter in Shreveport had some health issues, and it really came as a head right around Christmas. And then, but fortunately, I think it's in the first part of May, she had some surgery, and it's all gone very well. But it was necessary for me to be away. She lives in Shreveport, that I had to be away. I got to drive in Shreveport and caught two granddaughters to two different schools, one the end of the Shreveport to another, and it was a lot of fun. But the point of it is, it's been necessary for me to spend time more with my family. I have even a few little dreams I want to follow with my granddaughters. They may not happen, but even so, I need to spend more time with them. So I have been planning about retiring. And so I wanted to know that this is something I've been thinking about for some time. It's not because all of a sudden. And it is so, in that regard, I have also been doing a little bit of planning and meeting. I have met with a young man, and I think a young man is a good idea. A young man that has, some at least 5 years experience, has done a lot of experience in municipal law and government law. So I've talked to him about it. I've talked to the mayor about it. At some point I want to introduce him to him, and I'm suggesting he's a good candidate. So I'm maneuvering to a kind of a new lifestyle. But I wanted y'all to know that I didn't talk to everyone about it, but I did mention it to some of the council members, and I mentioned it to other public officials. So it's just, I've got a smile on my face, and so I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate each and every one of you and all. And so I'm gonna probably maybe bring somebody next month, if it's okay with y'all, and y'all can see where you want to go. And anyway, thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Mr. Jean. All right. Sorry about that, folks. Next thing we have on here is to adopt the agenda. So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next one is the approval of the minutes as submitted for regular meeting June 9th, 2025.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Miss Cindy, if you don't mind, I reported the finance. And if
I'll
you
try
just
to
kinda-
be brief.
Can you kind of go over some of the restrictions as far as moving monies from one account to the other?
Okay. This is our final financial statement to the council for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. Our auditors will be in the next month or 6 weeks. They will probably be making some adjustments and accruals. But as it sets now, our financials came out very close to what we budgeted. I do not foresee having to amend probably anything in this budget, which is very good, because that means that we projected our revenues correctly. We projected our expenditures correctly so that we don't have to amend it. It came out really well. So I've looked at some of comments that people have made about the budget and what they want to see or do, or what we're spending in one fund more than another fund. And every month when I give the financials, I always ask if there's any questions. I am more than willing to sit down and explain how government financing is, how government budgeting is, and to try to make anyone that's not familiar with it understand it so that there aren't any questions. So I'm wondering if by reading some of the comments that people have said or have said to me, that they don't understand that government funding is, some of them are restricted. You cannot legally take money from one fund, like if it's a utility fund, your water bills and your sewer and your garbage, you can't take that money and send it to general fund and have general fund use it. You can't do it legally. It's not. So, and that's with every fund. Your sales tax 1 fund can only be allocated certain percentages. Sales tax 2 is your street fund. And that's the only sales tax that can be generated extra to general fund. Sales tax 3 deal is restricted to your economic development, your drainage, park system. So each sales tax that's been approved by the voters can only be used for those types of expenditures. We can't legally take them from one fund, sales tax 3, and give it to general fund. It's not legal. We would be written up for it and they'd have to tell us to pay it back. So I'm not sure if anyone has any questions about that and what the funds can actually, the revenue from these particular sales tax funds can be used for. Please, I'm here. I can answer the questions. Marie can answer the questions, our accountant. So at any time, excuse me, our door is open. So I'll continue. This year in our general fund, on page 9, we ended with a year-to-date actual. General fund has only a deficit of $1,525. And that's revenue over expenditures. That means that we only spent $1,525 more than we took in. Although We will have some revenue accruals that have not been in this report yet. And that's going to come within the next month, that we'll start still getting revenue that was generated in the month of June that we didn't receive yet. Those accruals will come into this, so it'll be less than that. In our sales tax 1 fund, on page 12, our net revenue over our expenditures, actually, we came out with a deficit of $254,593. And the reason why that happened is because of the capital outlay on the sewer line replacement that we did. We're actually having to spend more on that project than what we budgeted. And we haven't received the revenue from the grant that's going to pay for that yet. On parks, sales tax on parks on page 15. Our park fund did very well this year. We actually had a revenue over our expenditure, so we came out to the good of $23,323.
Miss Cindy, if I could on that. Folks, and this isn't the only account where we've got a little bit of surplus this past year. I will tell you that I've had people tell me, well, we need to spend this or we'll lose it. It's not lost. It's not lost. It's your money. I am not going to rush into spending money just to get it off to a zero. That's your money. We're going to do right by it.
Okay, in our street department, our sales tax 2, which mainly is streets, sidewalks, we had a revenue over expenditures, an excess $110,725. Sales tax 3 on page 21. This year-to-date actual, we had a revenue over expenditures of $293,131. This is mainly due because we didn't finish the drainage project on Southland Estates.
Right.
And because we had budgeted for more than that. So, I mean, it wouldn't have been as much. It's gonna roll over into our next fiscal year, the expenditures on that project. On Fund 18 is our, and I've never reported on this because it hasn't had any activity, but it is set aside for the demolition project that we've been working on for over a year and a half, 2 years that we applied. It's for, they call it a CDBG. It's a Community Development Block Grant. And we have 17 condemned buildings that we are working on that the federal government has given us the grant for. It has taken us almost 2 years to complete the process. Tonight, they're going to award the bid for the contractor that's going to do the demolition on these buildings. So this is the fund that we had to set aside because it has to be separate. It has to stay separate. Yes, ma'am?
I have a question of the bids. When do they have people bid on these? And do you have to have 2 or 3 people witness the bidding
Yes,
on the thing?
and yes.
Can anybody go and witness that?
Yes.
On that?
Well, you can. This was not considered a public advertised bid because it didn't meet the ceiling of $250,000. It was under 250. So we did a request for proposals. So we invited certain contractors that we thought had the qualifications that were required by the federal government. So we invited them to bid. We did 2 rounds of bids. The first round, 2 out of the 3 that we received bids on did not qualify. They didn't hold the proper license. The one that did qualify bid higher than what we were awarded the money for. So he was over, and so we couldn't accept it.
I just wondered how that went.
Yeah. We rebid it, which the second time we received the bid that was in the same, not the same amount, but lower than what we were awarded. So we're asking the council to accept that bid tonight. So,
I've noticed some of the older homes have been torn down. Is that something the city has done, or has the individuals?
the
done?
individuals did that. Mhm.
We started out with 29.
Yes, we started out with a lot.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so through the process, we were able to get quite a few of those.
So anyway, so this particular fund, we had set aside a budget of $235,000 because that was our awarded amount. Okay. Since the project has been so long in the process of it, we weren't able to spend it or receive it. So that's why I say this fund didn't meet our budget because we didn't receive the money, we didn't expend it. On the last page, page 36, is our utility fund. And year-to-date actual, we are showing $636,216 revenue over expenditures. It is in excess of our expenditures. So we have done very well. And these funds, when it's in excess, we can take those funds and we can do capital improvements. We have the money now that we can look at doing capital improvements. We can look at maybe improving something, with water, sewer, and sewer lines, water lines, things like that.
Is the trash included in that?
The trash is included in that. Yes,
Trash
ma'am.
pickup.
Trash pickup is included. Yes, ma'am. Any questions?
I would like to just say, as far as on the city waterworks fund, one of the things that I will be doing moving forward with having this as a year end, we had a conversation early on about the metered rates. This is another one of those things we're gonna look at. We don't want to have an exorbitant amount of revenue build up in there, because the state really doesn't want us to. We shouldn't. So we need to make sure that we're within our numbers for that, and that we're not addressing something that we want to do as opposed to what needs to be done. And that if there is an opportunity to lower the water rates, it's something I would like to try to accomplish. Any other questions on the budget? I mean, on the financing? Okay. All right. Item 2. We have a motion to decline. We're going to have to make an adjustment here because we needed to decline that first budget, as Ms. Cindy was alluding to, and the motion to accept the new budgets.
The bids.
Bids, I'm sorry. Yes. You want to read that?
Yes. I move to reject all bids received on June 2nd, or June 12th.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we have,
If you want to talk about the difference in
we can.
prices.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, you can.
So I would like to make a motion to accept the lowest bid, and it's a grouping of like 17 different homes. The first company came in at $236,000, and the second company came in at $167,000. Different prices per unit, but that's going to be obviously the motion for the lowest bid, which is Louisiana Waste Solutions. I move to accept and award bids from July 3rd to the lowest qualified bidder, Louisiana Waste Solutions, and authorize Mayor Watkins to execute all documents necessary for that program.
Second.
Before we continue, I just want to let you know too, we are waiting on one document from Louisiana Waste Solutions. However, we are looking at an anticipated start date of September 1st. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
And that carries. Okay. Number 3 is a motion to approve Resolution 2025-09, a resolution applying for and accepting the 2025 Strategic Planning Program Grant.
I'll make that motion.
Second? Okay. Any discussion on that? Anybody like to know what that's about? This is a resolution through, Delta Regional Authority works with a number of federal partners on programs designed to promote development and growth in economically distressed communities. And whereas a 2025 Strategic Planning Program grant with no matching funds, that means we wouldn't have to match, can assist with the creation of master plans, comprehensive economic development plans, etc., that problem solve infrastructure upgrades for communities. And whereas the program will give public entities access to strategic planning funds to address longstanding issues and develop a roadmap for economic growth and opportunity. And whereas the town of Iowa is in need of planning funds for the Emergency Operations Center, the Boulevard, utility infrastructure, and economic development. Therefore, be it resolved by the Town Council of Iowa, Louisiana, to authorize Mayor Watkins to apply, accept, and sign all required documents required for the said non-matching grant up to $150,000 for the purpose of strategic planning for the Emergency Operations Center, Boulevard, utility infrastructure, and economic development. That's what the resolution is concerning. Any questions? And as we had a motion and a
I
second.
have one. I have
Yes,
one.
ma'am.
So are you saying before you build anything, you're gonna do all the utilities first?
No, ma'am. This is a planning program grant. So basically what it is to come in and to say, okay, here's what it's going to take for us to do this project.
Okay,
So if it's the Emergency Operations Center, it's going to deal with obviously the architectural aspect of it, what it would require for the building, whether it be the road going in and out on the property, how wide it's going to be, what utilities are going underground. So it's basically going to be all those questions that are going to go into the planning program.
So I got a question, Mayor.
Mhm.
So the building infrastructure for the response center is included in this plan.
It is the planning for that.
So just the roadway, not the building?
It's gonna be for the Emergency Operations Center itself. It's a whole, yeah, it's gonna be that. And and the infrastructure that goes with it. So,
So
yes,
to be clear, all this is doing is paying for the planning process, nothing else.
correct.
Just the plan.
Yes. And so, and basically what happens is with a lot of the funding now that's coming through, the changes through the national election, through, Governor Landry coming in, there are a lot of moving parts that we still haven't figured out how it's going to work. And so the one thing that they are constantly looking for now is a plan. If you don't have a physical plan, you're going to have a tough time getting physical dollars, okay? So that's really what this is about. All right, any other questions? Good questions, by the way. All right. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, ma'am.
Well, this plan, when we're talking about the emergency
Operation.
facility, are we talking about fire, police, and 911?
No, ma'am. It's going to be the Emergency Operations Center it's more inclined to the law enforcement side. Chief and I have had quite a discussion on it in the past regarding what would be very helpful for this area. There's been some further discussions beyond the town of Highway in other aspects that would be most beneficial to help support the building so that the cost is not burdened by the town of Highway. It's something that we're working on. If we can do that, it's going to free up our funds that the police is going to have more funds to operate off of instead of having to worry about the facility.
So they're able to, this way that they're able to bring in more grants to offset the cost of the facility.
Well, the overall scope of a proposed plan actually gives that Emergency Operations Center somewhat of an income to supplement the police department. So that way the burden of the future, not knowing what our revenues are going to be, I'm trying to figure out a way to stabilize our police department in that avenue. And so there's some good groundwork that's been laid for it. And I think my goal is to at least get it into more than just a MOU, memorandum of understanding with other folks to make it happen to where that conversation becomes much broader after December. That's what the plan is.
Question. I thought we've had,
Yes.
for 10 years, been planning this thing, and I thought we had the police department already sort of planned, and the city hall had another plan. How long was it gonna take? Not another 10 years waiting on this plan, or whoever? We
Well,
need this, we need this.
Sure, Ms. Glenda. Yeah. The reality is that I know there's been a lot of discussion over the past as to how to move forward, what to do. I know we talked about, when I first came in, there was discussion with Chief and I about a new police station. That's when we talked about the Emergency Operations Center. It gives them a lot more room to grow. It gives them a lot more ability to be somewhat, I don't want to use the word self-sufficient, but I think within the concept of that building and what we're trying to propose for our area can be very helpful to that. So the difference is, do we just build a building somewhere and not have the ability?
I thought we already bought land.
There was land bought for it, but because of the conversation that Chief and I had, we felt this would be the best for the department. And that's what I got from him. Now, if there's a change in that, we need to know that as well, but I think from the last I've discussed with Chief on this, that this is a direction that I think we should go, and he thinks it should go.
I mean, the people of our way.
I understand.
How long?
I understand.
Keep waiting.
Yeah.
How many? Yeah,
Well-
well, I know, I mean, that's like us.
Yeah.
We've been paying for this, paying this for a long time.
Well, I don't know, we really haven't had a plan. We've had ideas.
Some mayors have.
we've had ideas. There was plans for a golf course 25 years ago, but that never transpired either. But the reality is that it takes money. And I believe that we are actually seeing that we're turning the corner as far as our financing for the town, the stability that we need. We won't know because there's too many uncertainties in the market right now. With the tariffs, I know a lot of people use them. I hate it when they do that because it puts fear into people. But the reality is that we don't know how things are going to settle down with our administration in the White House. So once it does, I think we'll have a better idea as to what 26 is going to look like. Right now, we don't know. I mean, we're seeing the stock market going up, but our revenues are not following. We need those revenues to come up with it.
I mean, I just thought we already had
So-
a plan.
Okay, any other questions? And we had a first and a second on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Okay, all right, then that carries. All right, so the next thing that we have, number 4, is a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-03, an ordinance adopting an operating budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending July 30th, 2026. And again, the only thing that, the reason we have it here, if we do this, pass it as it is tonight, we can get the Louisiana Legislative Auditors at bay. And then we can come back and we can adjust this to make it conducive to what Chief is asking for. So any questions, Mr.?
Yes, I really need this.
Come on. Yeah.
I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity. I'd like to start out by thanking Mayor Watkins, Councilman Joe Becknell, Councilman Hennigan, and our town attorney Eugene Buquet for the budget discussion we had. And we did have a budget discussion in the mayor's office on July 2nd. We've all been working last week on that budget. I proposed a budget that was cut from my original request and gave it to the mayor and made those cuts to decrease it. We do plan on decreasing our spending. I'm only asking for a reasonable budget, something reasonable. During the meeting, Captain Christy Juarez informed all of you that we needed to hire an additional part-time dispatcher. I don't know if I remember that conversation. Her name is Tabitha Weinstein. The reason I'm coming and inquiring about this is we have a resignation for this position, and we need to hire someone to replace her. It is part-time. It essentially does not affect the budget at all. We're losing a part-timer to gain a part-timer, because if we don't hire this person, we're going to spend more revenue in overtime. So, also originally, so what I'm asking is I'd like to request that I be added to the agenda to make only that recommendation to hire that part-time employee so that we don't overspend on our overtime since we have such a very tight budget. And I surely do try to be very frugal with the budget. So I would ask that you would consider doing that. I also am stating that I waive my request to recommend the hiring of the patrol officer. And I ask that it be placed on next month's agenda to give us more time to negotiate the police department budget possibly being amended.
So you need a motion.
I need a
amend the-
motion to add me to the
agenda.
agenda to make a recommendation to hire a part-time employee. So we don't spend extra money on overtime.
Can I pause before that? So your you're in favor of us passing the budget today and amending as we go forward?
As long as it's amended in a reasonable amount of time, I think we can sit down. I would really, as I mentioned last month, love to have a tabletop. I am a people person. I would love input from the public and give them opportunity.
I'm just making sure I understand.
Yes, I respectfully, I follow the law. And I don't want, I recall, I apologize, he wasn't here, but I was chief the last time we had a budget that wasn't passed. And the only person that was sitting up there that recalls that, or should recall that, is Gerald Gidry. We had a mayor that the council and I did not agree with his budget. And we went into all kinds of things. That's where I learned about this process and how important it is for the council. And yes, I would love for y'all to pass the budget and put me on the agenda to make that hire next month. And hopefully we can nip this in the bud and come to a reasonable agreement. Not as drastic that I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. I have a responsibility as well. And I think that 1.6 is extremely too low, you know. And I think there's ways to find money because I have been doing this for 18 and a half years and I look at budgets for a very long time. And I can look at that budget and I can see what things maybe could be good.
I got you. I was just asking what your stance on that was.
Thank you. I appreciate you inquiring, Danny.
So I can make that a motion to amend tonight's agenda.
To add me to the agenda to make the recommendation to hire the one part-timer, and I'll rescind my request from the agenda to hire the full-timer until next month.
What you said.
That's what I'm requesting.
I move to amend the agenda to add discussion of hiring a part-time dispatcher.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you. And on a lighter note, I just got 3 things to say because I know we're fixing to close this.
Chief, can I make the motion to hire? That was just to amend.
He's correct, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm jumping. I'm just,
I move to accept chief's recommendation to hire Tabitha Weston in the role of part-time dispatcher.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I just got a couple of things I need to say, and then I will be out of your way respectfully. On a lighter note, I'd like to say that our senior barbecue held last month, June 19th, was a success. We fed 275 people meals, delivered approximately 100 of those dinners out into our community. I'd also like to mention that we also held our first fundraiser with the Highway Fire Department jointly and sold them yesterday, July 13th. I'd like to thank all the volunteers that assisted us, and especially Weber Fontenot, owner of Roy's Meat Market, for helping us coordinate this fundraiser. And lastly, the Highway Police Department will be holding its annual National Night Out at the KC Hall here on Highway 90 and Highway on Tuesday, August 5th from 6 to 8. This is a national community building campaign promoting police community partnerships. We'll have the fire department, the sheriff's office, military personnel, vendors, music by DJ Crazy Dave Munso, and I want to thank him. He volunteers and does that for us every year at no cost. It'll be an evening of fun, and I want to invite all of you and the public in our community. We'll have quite a display of police equipment, vehicles for the kids to engage in activity and enjoy, and I look forward to seeing all of you there. That's all I got. And I would like to say one last note in reference to what was stated earlier on the police department. I do have my own policy and procedures manual that was approved by the town council, and I am working on following through to make sure that we're all in line with that. Thank you.
Before us, we have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-03, an ordinance adopting an operating budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
And
Who neighed?
Daniel.
all right. It passes. 5, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I'd like
All in
to make a comment before we adjourn. Is that okay? I won't take long.
Is it in relation to any of these
It's in
items?
relation to what you spoke about, earlier at the beginning. when
Any
you
of
were-
the items on the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay.
I think you were speaking about the incident that happened with me with the food truck situation. And Sheridan McKay was not associated with what I had going on Saturday. And for y'all that don't know me, I'm an Highway graduate of 1985. I own a business on Highway 90, and I've been there for at least 8 years. Miss Vanessa on this board is the only one that I know is my customer. The previous mayor told me to my face that he spent at least $100 a week on flowers on his mother and his wife and his mother-in-law. But he did that in Lake Charles. So speaking about conversations, Mayor, I went and I had a conversation with you and Miss Cindy. Now, the situation Saturday that I am pretty upset about, and your name kept coming up. And I've met you, today's the second time I've ever seen you, and I have forgotten meeting you. But her name kept coming up from the police officer's mouth. The police officer, Lauer, that showed up at my business on Saturday when I was having a benefit for a family that was badly injured in a drunk driving accident. And that police officer, Lauer, came to my establishment. You will have to read his report 5 or 6 times, each time with a different question. What license did I have? Who was barbecuing? Well, someone in a white truck, 4-door truck, we believe with Town of Iowa signature on the side of it, at 7:30 Saturday morning, took pictures of that truck that said Preacher Man's Barbecue and his truck. And I'm just going to tell y'all that, 3 years ago when I hired a Santa Claus and I did free cocoa and cookies and all that, had hundreds of children come through my business. I am trying to do stuff. So, and Mayor, you said you want to have a conversation. You want to know about things that I want to do. I do want to improve this community. I'm from here, and sometimes I'm not proud to say that. But I would love to have big events. My husband and I go to car shows all over. We have antique cars. There's no reason we can't do that right here off I-10. But the way that I was treated Saturday, I had 5 or 6 visits from the police officer in front of vendors that had paid, in front of customers that were trying to get barbecue. And your text to me today after I hung up on you, yes, ma'am, I sat in that office for 45 minutes waiting for you to come out, but you didn't.
Ma'am,
So
ma'am,
I was in a
can
meeting.
you, excuse me,
Yes.
excuse me just a second. See, here we have, and look, you have done exactly what you're supposed to do.
yes, that's
you
why
run
y'all
your
don't know me,
business-
because I don't show up. I just do what I gotta do.
You run your business properly. And I
Yes.
appreciate that. I told you that when we had the conversation. But here's what we have. We have many, and I'm sorry, council, I know we've already adjourned and for folks, but I think this is highly important that we get to the bottom of this.
Well, Sheridan
So
McKay
here,
was
and
not
ma'am,
involved.
Ma'am, if you don't mind. Let me see if I've got that in mind. There was phone calls, and I don't know that this is the best place to do this, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it because you're bringing it up. But there were 2 phone calls placed to Mr. McKay. The second one, the message was left to call the town.
Sir,
This was back in May.
I'm not involved in
Ma'am,
Mr.
ma'am,
McKay's
here's-
business.
Let me get through this and maybe you'll understand why there's an issue here.
Well, no, her text told me that respectfully. She told me that today, that he needs something to do with the Department of Health.
Correct.
That has nothing to do with my
Correct.
business and why my benefit
Correct.
was interrupted 7 times.
That has nothing to do with what.
I've already called
We've
the attorney that I will be talking to
Okay.
and discussing this with further. I felt I was being harassed.
Ma'am, at this point, we're gonna have to end it.
Just so y'all know, and
But
it's on
look,
the record.
You're more than welcome to come in and have a conversation with me. We can
Well,
go through all those
let's
things.
continue it now. What's the problem with Sheraton?
Well, you've already, it's not Sheraton, man. You just said that you're gonna get an attorney.
Yeah, oh, no, I've already talked to him.
We stopped,
Morning.
so we're required to stop.
Okay, well, good, at least you know
All
where
right.
I stand.
Folks, I appreciate y'all coming out, and we are adjourned, so thank you. Oh, I didn't see that.